the 25th of September 2024, and for me, I think this year's walking season is probably almost at a close. But I thought I'd cap it off with an international trek. So today, I'm at the cathedral in Porto, and I'm about to undertake the Portuguese leg of the Camino Santiago de Compostela. Now, the Camino Santiago de Compostela is a long-distance trek, and there are a number of them dotted around, starting in different countries: France, Spain, and where I am, in Portugal. Now, the Portuguese leg actually starts in Lisbon, but I'm doing my trek from Porto, so 266 kilometres, 166 miles, or possibly 176, depending on which of the four routes I decide to take, all the way from here to northern Spain and the cathedral in Santiago de Compostela. Now, walkers who undertake this particular trek are known as pilgrims, and I'll fill you in on some of the nuances that you might need to consider when undertaking this walk. There are four routes that I can choose from in Porto, and I'm going to be undertaking the central route to begin with, and then onto the coastal route for the majority of the way. The pathway is really well waymarked, and you have to follow these particular signs: the shell, the yellow shell on a blue background, or yellow and blue arrows, and also there are some brown marker posts that you need to keep an eye out for. But apparently, from the book, and I've only read a small section of the guidebook, they're fairly easy and simple to navigate. So I'm going to take my UK trekking hat off and put my pilgrim's hat on and get cracking. So let's talk about some of the things you might need to consider when doing this Camino. Now, people who do this Camino are called pilgrims, as I think I might have said earlier on. And what that means is a number of people do this particular walk for, well, a number of different reasons. Some of them spiritual. The thing about this particular walk is you can do this without having to adhere to any of the pilgrim code, as it were. However, the majority of people get what's called a credential, and that is a small foldable card of which you can collect a number of stamps. Now, in order to complete the Camino and get your Compostela, which is your certificate at the end, you need to have a number of stamps. I'm collecting them, or I'm going to try and collect them from Porto all the way through to Santiago. However, you don't actually need to. As long as you complete the last 100 kilometres or 60 miles of the Camino and get 2 stamps per day whilst you're doing it, you can get your Compostela at the end. You get your stamps by going into cafes, museums, monasteries, churches, that type of thing, and there's a small cost to it. There's also a cost, clearly, for the credential booklet. I got mine from the cathedral, as well as my first stamp, and also the Camino shell. And there's some historic significance in relation to that. And in relation to that Camino shell, if you look at the signposts, you'll see an arrow and a shell with 9 kind of prongs protruding from it, and those are the 9 different Caminos that you can complete in order to get your Compostela. I have brought with me all my traditional kit, camping kit, etc., and thus this is the pack weight that I'm carrying. However, along the entire route of these Caminos, there are places called albergues, and they are hostels. And there's a number of different types of albergue along the route. The most common one for pilgrims is the communal type of caminos, where basically they're big rooms or big dorms with a number of beds, up to 50 or so, and it runs on a first come first serve type of basis. There are also hostels, B&Bs, hotels. However, I'm going to try and stick to the original albergues, and if I can get a cheeky wall camp in, then so be it. Most people carry a little bit less weight than I am, but in reality, and in relation to the walks that I normally do, the weight I'm carrying is neither here nor there. So I might explain the albergues a little bit better when I get a bit more knowledge, and when I actually get to use them. It's starting to drizzle now, and it's going to be rain for the next couple of days, I think. So I'm going to crack on with this walk. Today's leg takes me from Porto through to this location here, which is about 17 or 18 miles, something along those lines. A walk in the park. So day one over and done with. Porto to Vila de Conde. A really easy, level, straightish route. The only difficulties, if I can call them that, is navigating your way out of Porto. Getting used to where all of the signs are and what you're looking for can be a bit of a challenge, but once you've mastered that, it becomes really easy. The albergue, what a glorious place. Really simple way of staying, really. Once you get there, you've got to give them your credentials, because it's a municipal one, and your passport. Pay them the fee. Bed is yours. Facilities are absolutely excellent. I'm going to try and look for another one when I get to the next location, which is from here, Vila de Conde to Esposende. I'm going to absolutely murder the Portuguese and Spanish as this trip goes on. I believe 23.8 kilometres, something along those lines. 14 and a bit miles. It's raining, and it's going to rain for the majority of the day. So I've got a bit of a dry patch at the moment. I'm going to get the poncho on though, and get going. This part of the route takes me onto the coast, so I'll be navigating that for the next couple of days. Not sure that I'm going to see much today, but we'll give it a go.
Time chill on my own, just wanna do me, just wanna doze, just wanna live and see how it goes. And the goals just keep on going, yeah. This life we live is a war. When there's love in the rave, you know. When there's love in the rave, you know. All inside you, all in the soul, 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 soul. You know when the calling's calling you, and the calling's calling more. You know when the calling's calling you, it's calling, calling more, 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 more. You know when the calling's calling more, more. You know when the calling's calling.
Day two, almost at a close. I've almost reached my end destination, albeit I won't be stopping there. I'll be passing through and carrying on heading north to see if I can crash at the municipal albergue. The route here, the majority of it, as you saw, was beach, and as long as you keep the sea to your left, life is great. The majority of that walk was boardwalk, and even when you cut inland slightly, you still got that boardwalk to assist you, so it was nice and flat, easy underfoot. When you do leave the shoreline for a small bit and enter into the little towns and the rural bits of this route, you're just met with cobbles and some sand paths. Nothing too strenuous. And Billy bonus, after about 9:30 this morning, the sun came out. So it's been a great day. As I said, I'm almost into town. I'll have a quick look around, pass through and see if I can crash at this albergue, and then I'll speak to you tomorrow. morning of day 3, Esposende to Viana de Costelo, if I pronounce that correctly. 25.5 kilometres, albeit I have done a few extra K getting to the last albergue that I've just stayed at. Speaking of which, this one housed a few more people, and that meant a little bit more noise. So if you are sensitive to that type of game, it may not be for you. However, I do urge you to at least try an albergue at least once on your Camino. The facilities, albeit basic, are very, very, very good. Absolutely no issues there, and in many respects a lot better than some of the hotels that I stayed at in the UK. The next section is a little bit more inland for me, albeit it's still the coastal route. I think I shall be going through a number of different villages and settlements until my next destination. So I've started early just so I can beat the crowds. Let's get cracking. end of day 3. I really enjoyed this section. Very quaint. A mixture of quaint hamlets and towns, and then some forestry and woodland. Great in the sunshine, but if it was raining, and it does rain quite hard here, those forestry sections would be grueling to say the least, so it's something to bear in mind. This part of the walk contains quite a few up and downs. Nothing like the Lake District or anything like that, but if you weren't expecting them, they could cause you a little bit of a problem, and particularly the last hill before this town. It's quite steep and goes on for a little while, and if you haven't taken advantage of the cafes to fuel up on lunch and what have you, like me, you're going to wonder why. That said, I've made some good time here. I took advantage of the cooler hours this morning when I left earlier, so that's something to be mindful of. The midday sun is ferocious. I'm at the albergue. I'll put the name of it up because I can't remember it. It's a monastery albergue, and it is absolutely spotless, wonderful, and the facilities are really, really good, really clean. So I really do recommend it. Costs €13 for the night. With that, I'm going to have a shower and crack on with the rest of my day, which is going to be all about relaxing. And then I'll start again in the morning.
Good morning. Start of day 4, and I'm heading off to Camino, which is 26.8 kilometres, around 18 miles. I'm leaving early. I've got to be a bit quiet. I don't want to wake anyone up. Here's a tip for you. If you're sleeping in some of these albergues, bring some earplugs. You'll thank me for it.
Day 4 on a Portuguese Camino. What do I like about it so far? Everything. I'll start by saying I really enjoyed yesterday's section, but today I think it's even better. And I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because on day 4 I'm starting to get into the Camino way, who knows. This morning, set off in the dark as you saw, and you've got to be a bit careful because the waymarks are very hard to see, and some of them are on the floor, and there's a couple of switchbacks to keep your eyes peeled. You are heading off uphill, so you're going to gain quite a lot of height towards the rocky outcrop where the castle-like structure is, and after that, plain sailing. Very quaint and pleasant. Hamlets and towns, bits of wood to walk through, and then my coffee stop, superb. If you're passing, get in there. After that, again, very easy. A few switchbacks, and then this section here, which has a little bit of an incline, but nothing to concern yourself about. Plenty of opportunity for water and food along the way, so don't worry about breakfast. Just stopped off for a coffee and a Coke. I'm about 1.5 miles, possibly 2 miles out from my end destination, and I was going to stay at this albergue here, which is a municipal albergue, only €10 a night. However, I did some digging on my app, Camino app, and it's given me the details of this albergue. Now, clearly, this is a little bit more expensive, but it's a hostel type albergue, so I thought I would give that a crack and see what the differences actually are. As I said, this is my last day in Portugal today, and tomorrow may well see me in Spain, so I'm going to get down to this albergue, see what the differences are. I've made really good time, so I can stroll around Camino to my heart's content. We'll see what happens later. The end of day 4. The second section, absolutely superb. And if you do this section, you'll have no problems whatsoever. The weather's been superb and absolutely fantastic. I'm at the hostel albergue, and I'm not sure whether or not I mentioned this one before, but I got it through booking.com, and I booked ahead earlier on this afternoon. The only difference is it's a little smaller and more intimate, and a little bit more in the way of cost. You can't book the municipal albergues, and booking it this way was actually quite a good thing because I didn't feel as if I had to rush to get to the albergue, and there isn't as much, or well, there isn't any type of bun fight trying to get a bed. And for some of the municipal albergues, they open at 3 and check-in closes at 7. So in some respects, you've got to get a shift on. I'm going to spend the rest of my time in Portugal, which is only today, in the town. Going to have a meal and something to eat, because tomorrow I'm getting a ferry across the water to Spain, which is just over there. Portugal's been really good to me. Let's see what Spain has to offer. The start of day 5 sees me leaving Portugal and travelling across the river to Spain. My destination, once I get to Spain, is only 23.5 kilometres, around 14 miles, so not a long one today. You've got to get a taxi, boat, from here across the river, which is 1.5 kilometres. Now, there used to be a ferry, and it's moored up, but it's not in operation, and it used to cost €1. However, the locals have now taken over that service, and they will shuffle you across in little taxi boats for the princely sum of €6. Now, once I get over to Spain, I'm only 165.6 kilometres, or 102 miles, from Santiago. 15 minutes later and I'm in Spain. Now, Spain is 1 hour ahead of Portugal, so I've lost an hour. Time to get cracking. End of day 5 then. The route Really, really easy. Absolutely nothing to worry yourself about. In fact, the only point of concern, if there is one, is when you get off the boat in Spain. There are two ways you can go, both lead to the same place. So you can either go around the coastal route, in that case it's really flat, or you can do what I did and go through the towns and the villages, and that's a little bit more hilly, and you gain most of your height for the rest of that walk. Outside of that, pretty flat, really easy underfoot, nothing to worry about. A short walk of around 14 miles, but a long stroll, if that makes any sense. And I think that's down to the fact that I've got some heavy legs today. I'm not sure why. And also the terrain and the vistas don't really change. Yes, it's coast. Yes, it's fabulous, but nothing to really feast the eyes on as far as I'm concerned. Outside of any of the main towns, there's not a lot of chance to stock up on food and water, so take your opportunities when you can, because if you walk past them, you may be wanting for them for some while. Outside of that, I'm at the albergue now. I'm just going to settle in. Just going to crash, I think. Start again in the morning. The start of day 6, I'm walking over to Ramallosa. This is going to be a short one for me today. Rest the old legs. 16 kilometres, just under 10 miles.
In my heart is a waterfall of windmills and rockets and empty baskets. In my heart is a waterfall, bleeding pine trees and lit up windows and poison arrows. In my heart is a waterfall of silver linings and dirty laundry and bedtime hymns. In my heart is a waterfall. Open spaces, burning pages, and sunlit meadows. In my heart is a waterfall of secret highways and silver linings and two dogs fighting.
End of day 6. Nothing much to report, to be fair. This morning I left early, and pretty much the same as yesterday really with regards to the route. You do have to gain some height after leaving the town, because you're going through their mountainous range. But once you've done that, it's plain sailing, pretty much coastal all the way. So really, nothing to worry yourself about in the slightest. You can spend quite a bit of time in the town of Viana, which is the town just before Ramallosa, and I did, to be fair. Really, really nice. If it was golden sunshine, it'd be absolutely perfect and you wouldn't want to leave. That said, I've now arrived at the albergue. It was a short day. My legs are thanking me for it. There's a bit of a market in the town, so I'm going to go and have a look at that now. But unless anything major happens, I'll see you tomorrow. Day 7. I started out really early this morning, so I couldn't really tell you what the state of the route was because I haven't actually seen it. I have two choices today. I can go to Vigo, which I'm on the way to now, or I can pass straight through there and stay in a place called Redondela, I think it's pronounced. The book gives us two destinations. There's two separate stages, but you can feasibly do both stages in a one. It is tipping down with rain at the moment, and that might make my mind up for me. However, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do today, so I'll get my rain clothes on and I'll make a decision as the day goes on. The end of day 7. Well, what can I say about it other than biblical rain? Not much to see, not much to film. I took the central route. I think most people took the coastal path, which seems to be a lot quicker. However, my route was quite pleasant, even though it was raining torrentially. The route I took was fairly up and down. Most of the inclines were quite long and fairly steep. In the book it says this is the hard level, or the hard section. And yeah, I'd agree with that. Outside of that, everything's fine now. I'm at the albergue, the public albergue. 93 rooms here, only €10, so good value. I'm just in the queue for the washer dryer, so I'm going to pack up for now and get my stuff done, and again tomorrow. Start of day 8. It's tipping down with rain, and the weather forecast says it's going to rain all day, so a bit like yesterday. I'm off to Redondela today. It's going to be another short one for me. There's lots of movement in this albergue at the moment. It's 7:15 and everyone's got to be out by 8 o'clock. So I'm going to have 5 more minutes and then now I'm going to hit the road. I'm not sure what I'm going to be able to bring you in relation to footage because of the rain, and hopefully it doesn't rain as much as it did yesterday. But we'll see. the end of day 8. Short one. Started off in the city and in the dark, so you've got to be very, very careful, as I said before, in relation to those arrows and pointers, because they're not normally where you would look to find them. A couple of miles in the city and then you're out into the sticks, and then the profile for this leg is up, across and down, in as much as once you've got over the motorway you've got an enormous climb to contend with, and it goes on for some time. So if you haven't had your Weetabix, I feel sorry for you. The only saving grace for me was that it wasn't like rain today, it was a torrential downpour, and that wasn't promised. Just highs to tears. That said, once you gain the height, you remain at the height, and it's normal vistas that you'd expect. Coastline that you can see, little hamlets and some forest bits, and then you've got the descent, which is just as steep, although easier on the legs. Take that with a pinch of salt, because clearly I'm going downhill then and not going the other way. A couple of opportunities to get your stamps, so that's not really an issue. And I'm here in the town now, at the albergue, really nice place. Again, eat, sleep, repeat, going to relax, have something to eat, and then see what tomorrow brings. A bit more of a journey tomorrow, because I've got a few more miles to do. But yeah, we'll see.
Day 9 is Redondela to Pontevedra.
You say you love me, say you're thinking of me, but you're just lonely. Tell me I'm special, but to you I'm anybody. 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 Anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. You say you love me, say you think
the end of day 9, Redondela to Pontevedra. Made really good time on this leg, which is strange really, considering that the profile for this section is very up and down. You gain the majority of your height right at the start, and then it is just up, down, up, down, up, down, with a few switchbacks here and there. Same type of landscape, woodland and small towns. In reality, this is a tough section. It was very, very misty and cool today, so quite palatable, but if it was roasting sunshine or the biblical rain that we've had for the last 2 days, it'd be very miserable, let me tell you. There are some good points to it, in the fact that in relation to refreshments, there is plenty going about, even in the woodland, so you don't have to worry about restocking or refueling on this particular leg. We're now on a central route, and you can tell it's very busy considering it's closed season or closing season for walkers, and everyone is coming together, so you're interspersed with people who are on the central route as well as people who have started during the last 100k so they can get their Compostela, and then you've got us lot on the Portuguese section and the coastal section, so yeah, everyone's coming together. So there's a different vibe about these next legs, and it's starting to change. I'm not sure that I'm particularly comfortable with it, but hey ho, everyone's here for their own reasons. As we get closer to Santiago de Compostela, which is only 3 days away, the amount of hostels, private albergues and albergues seems to increase. The municipal one, which is right at the start of town, has 84 beds, so you can crash there if you want to. I didn't fancy the bun fight, so I've got one booked. As you've just seen, really nice place. These are the prices, so it's pretty reasonable. Now I'm in Pontevedra. The town is very cosmopolitan, a stark contrast to what I've been used to over the last 9 days. It's starting to change shape. So it's something that I have to come to terms with as a pilgrim on a long distance walk. Gonna finish off now, get myself into the digs properly, have a shower, the usual routine, and then I'm gonna get myself out and explore this town. It is very large and there's lots going on. So yeah, food and a bit of a nose. Day 10 sees me leaving this albergue. I've got to be quiet. From Pontevedra to Caldas, 21 kilometres, about 13 miles. If you go left, that will take you down eventually to the shoreline, and you can catch the boat to Padron. Right will take you onto the central route, and you can carry on towards Santiago inland.
All I want is all of you, baby, baby. Nothing less than that will do,
20 minutes or so from my end destination and my albergue, which today is one of those private affairs, and quite reasonably priced too through booking.com. The route today, really easy. Nothing really to discuss other than the fact that you've got one or two rises, nothing like the last few days, well within your grasp, and won't cause you too much of a problem in relation to stamps and places where you can stop off and refresh and relax. There are plenty on this section, so you don't have to worry about it. The sun is coming out, albeit the clouds are starting to roll in as well, so may well get some rain. By that time, hopefully, I'll be in the albergue having a nice coffee. So I'll leave you for now. I might bring you back if there's anything to look at in the town. Other than that, it may just be a tomorrow game.
Now, by my reckoning, I've got around 27 miles to do, and given my past form, I could possibly do this today. However, I'm going to break it up into component parts as per the original plan, and I'm going to go from here over to Padron, which is around 18 kilometres, around 11 to 11.5 miles. This is the penultimate day, and it's forecast for heavy rain and lightning, and we all know what that looks like. So I'll see you there.
end of day 11, and I'm in Padron. All I can say about today is rain, and more rain. Not a lot to see because of the drizzle. However, the route itself, very simple. A number of forest sections that go on for quite a while, and in those sections are where you're going to get your inclines. Nothing major, definitely no more difficult than the last few days. Plenty of places to stop and refresh. But yeah, not much more to say about that. As I said, I'm in Padron. I'm in the albergue. I've just handed over my clothes for a wash and dry. The most expensive of the entire trip. €4 to wash and €5 to dry. But you know what? In this weather, I'll take that. I'm here early doors, and thus I'm going to relax for the rest of the day. I'm not sure that I'm actually going to get myself out again, but we'll see. I'm just going to prepare myself for the final day in Santiago.
The start of day 12, the last day, sees me leaving here, Padron, and going all the way to Santiago de Compostela. Distance 15 miles. That's all there is to the end. I've got to be very quiet because it's really early in the morning and I don't want to wake anyone up, and I'm just packing up. So I'll see you on the road.
Even this early on the last day, lots of people milling about. I think it's going to be a busy one. So that's it. The Camino Santiago de Compostela over and done with. Portugal to Spain, Porto to Santiago, 166 or 176 miles depending on which route you take. 12 days, so not too bad. This has been a great walk, albeit there's been some biblical rain today to just to dampen the spirits, but not this one. It's been a great walk thus far, and I've met some really good people, and they may well become some really good friends. you just never know. Lots of people come here to do this walk for their own reasons, and on the credentials it says, do you come here for religious reasons or other? And you may just come here to do a long distance walk, if that's the case. Then more power to your elbow. And I think that's how we're starting. But if I reflect on it, sometimes the walk may not just be for you. And if you get nothing out of it, and that's not an issue. But somebody might get something out of it by meeting you, and that's the magic of this walk, I think. So, the rain stopped. I'm going to go and get my final stamp, add my Compostela, and on to the next adventure. See you soon.